The title today? Sorry.
It's
Hey, what's up, everybody? Am I already live on my end? Let me just
you
confirm.
yeah, we're live. We're live. It should be live on your account, Alex. I picked your
All
account
right, yeah, we're good. We're good to go. We're good to go.
as well.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Welcome to
Yep. Yep.
another edition of Lumia Live. Happy Friday, everybody. GM or GN, depending on what part of the world you're in. What's good, chat? What's good, Ola? What's good, everybody? Um, we have a very special show today. We're going to talk about how RWAs can reshape and redefine the entire landscape of real estate, of real estate. And currently in the U.S. and throughout many other places throughout the globe, there is a real estate crisis that's happening. Home prices have surged 60% since 2019. I was actually just reading this Goldman Sachs report earlier this morning. So there's a lot of ways in which RWAs, RWA tech, and using crypto rails can basically redefine this entire industry, and it's happening in real time. So we have some special guests here today. If Mark wants to kind of pass it
Yeah.
over, the culture
Oh no. Yeah,
curator,
I got it. I got it. I
introducing
got it.
everybody.
Yeah. No, for sure. So today we do have some special guests. Actually, so Woodley that you guys see on the screen, he's actually one of my childhood friends. I grew up with this guy down in a small town of Ocala. I'm actually home right now, and it feels crazy nostalgic to be home. It's kind of crazy, and it's actually funny that I'm home right now because my mom actually just got her first house. So it's interesting. She's a boomer. I'm a millennial. I don't have a house yet, so it's this is a very interesting topic because she just got her first one, and I think she is 52 now. So I'm curious to see how we, as millennials, a lot of us I feel like don't own our own homes. But today's topic is specifically about that, and we brought Woodley on as a realtor. Uh, Woodley, I'll allow you to introduce yourself, and then before Woodley, you go, I'm gonna also bring it in with Angel as well. We have Angel here, who's a creator on Instagram and across social media, and we'll have her go into more of her background and kind of how one of the things that we love to do on this show is when we have new people on, we love for you to just kind of talk about your background a little bit, how you got into crypto, what's your Batman, your Superman story, but within the crypto world. And Woodley, it'd be kind of two parts for you because as a realtor, and then you're a little bit of mild experience in the crypto world as well. But yeah, Woodley, take it away.
All right, my name is Woodley Morales. I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Florida. Based here in Ocala, Florida. I've done transactions in Marion County, Alachua County, going all the way down to Lehigh Acres. Um, when it comes to real estate, the landscape is definitely a buyer's market right now. There's a lot of wiggle room in there when you're working with different sellers selling their properties because some properties are sitting longer than in the past. If you go back to 2020, 2021, 2020, things were like flying off the shelf. There was bidding wars before you even put in a contract. There was about 7 to 8 other contracts. People were bidding over the house price. It's definitely a different climate now. Touching on crypto, and Mark definitely knows my crypto story. I'm Mr. Go big or go home. Like nothing small about me when it comes to stuff like that. Back in 2022, everybody knows when the NFTs were really going off the shelf. Board Eight Yacht Club, a lot of different NFTs were doing very well, and I'm definitely somebody who likes to make money. So when everything was going really hard, had some Bitcoin, had some Ethereum, wanted to get into the NFT space as well. And being in crypto, we got our wins and losses. Being an entrepreneur, there's going to be your wins and losses. So one of my biggest business lessons were came at the price tag of 100K. Yes, but came at a price tag of 100K. But thank God everything still works out. Real estate's going well. I have a couple other businesses here in Florida that we do business throughout the United States. But that's a little bit about me to just get started.
Nah, awesome,
Go.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then, yep, thank you for that, Woodley. And he's definitely not lying. Woodley's like one of the most like go getter type of people that I've ever met in my life, and I'm saying this as just a long time friend. And then we also have Angel here as well. Angel, I would love for you to just kind of give a little bit of your background, what got you into crypto, and then what excites you about today's topic and today's show.
Nice. Thank you for the introduction, Mark. So, my name is Angelique Lesperance. I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico, a very, very small town. Now I live in Miami, Florida, and I went to school to be a doctor. I was going for physical therapy, but I was also a promo model at the same time. And whenever I met my business partner, basically I started selling physical therapy products, but at big trade shows all around the country. So I was always traveling for work, and I found crypto in 2017. Um, just like a lot of us, when we get introduced to crypto, we don't really know exactly the capabilities of it or how big it was. So I started investing, but I didn't really know like how far it could go. It just always seemed like that crazy internet money that nobody really knows like what it's really about. But so I got reintroduced back into crypto last year for Singapore. Iggy Azalea flew me out for the Motherland Rodeo, and whenever I got introduced to that opportunity, I was
Hey,
able to network with so many amazing people. And I did go to the Token 24 in Dubai in May also. But just like being able to see the opportunity that it is, and it's crazy that like a lot of people are still so foreign to it. And whenever people are like, oh, I don't understand it, I don't know what it is, I always tell them like only 2% of the world actually even know what it is. So the fact that you're here right now, that's like you have a big advantage. Like there's still so much to learn about it, but yeah, I'm like I love the journey that I have, but I'm always trying to be a student to learn more about it.
nah, awesome. Nah, thank you for that. Thank you for that, and we're definitely glad to have you. I'm excited about this. We've already had some conversations already, and I just love the energy that you bring, and can't wait to really get into this. But Bradley, you guys, he couldn't have the video on today, but you got a good picture of him and his
Solid pick.
nice
Or
hair.
a farm. Or a farm.
I'm freaking loving
Yeah,
it. But
you guys haven't
Bradley,
seen it yet, have you?
uh,
The long hair period.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying you haven't
Nah,
seen
they
my long
haven't
hair
seen it
yet.
yet because the last
It-
no, we haven't. But or at least the crowd hasn't, because I think the profile picture you've been using is it needs to be updated. But I'm loving the long locks there. But Bradley, I would love for you to kind of give a mild intro, because there might be some new people that are logging on and finding Lumia but may not know about RWAs. Just so from your basic knowledge, I think it'd be good to kind of give the crowd like a small intro into like what RWA is and what we're trying to do here.
yeah, sure. So I'll give a brief intro. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Like Mark said, I am actually on the road right now, so I can't be with camera. Um, Essentially, I'm not entirely convinced that I'm not just here for my British accent, but I'm actually a sort of a well-known researcher, market advisor for different brands in Web3. So I've had about 2 years as a journalist at Cointelegraph. So I head up the sort of Learn and Explained article columns. Um, I work with Token 2049. A lot of people know, so I'm one of the marketing associates on the team. I'm an advisor for companies like, Symbiosis, CryptoProcessing.com. I even have about 21 million cumulative views on YouTube. So under the brand Some Stuff, so I'm a media host, presenter, all this kind of stuff. But you probably don't want to hear about that. So look, RDBs are really interesting. Everyone knows about the sort of trends that we've had over the years. So, I mean, if you think about 2020 during the pandemic, it was DeFi, right? And then we had a big NFT craze in 2021, and everyone was talking about Bored Ape Yacht Club and all of that. Then we moved into 2023, and you had the sort of layer 2 craze where everyone's kind of trying to speed up Ethereum and all these, different chains like Base, for instance. Now, what's been happening over the last 2 years Specifically, hang on a minute, I need to change lanes. That was funny. No, so 2024 and 2025 have been two huge years for something called RWAs. So not only did it captivate all conversations in 2024, but everyone's still speaking about it. If you were at 2020 Token 2049, you would have heard Vlad Tenev speak about how real world assets are like a freight train. Bo Hines was speaking about it, Donald Trump Jr., and on all the main leading conversations at Token 2049, they're all talking about RWAs. And so what are they? Basically digital templates for anything you can think of. So let's say you got a property, right? You can actually tokenize that and put that on the blockchain. How would that work? Well, let's say you got a Manhattan skyscraper and they've just built it, and instead of selling all the apartments, they tokenize it to give you one cryptocurrency for every square meter of the building, right? So imagine that you could buy, say, 2 of these Manhattan skyscraper tokens, and that would represent a 2 square meter share in one of the flats in this building. Now, that's useful because you don't have to buy the whole apartment, and you can still benefit from capital gains when you come to sell your 2 square meters. And also, you benefit from your share of the rental yield. So let's say 10 of you cumulatively own enough tokens to, say, make a single flat. Well, then that's managed by the management company, and then you get your yield, and you can benefit from that financial instrument. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, the kind of real estate carnation of RWAs. But they go through to things like you can have tokenized gold, different commodities. You can have tokenized T-bills, money market funds.
Pokemon cards.
Oh,
Yeah,
Literally
everything.
Pokemon cards.
Whiskey. So yeah, that's a brief introduction. So I think we'll kick off with, okay, so why are RWAs important and why do we need to tokenize properties? So I'll open that up to the board.
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I think we're at this merging point, right? Similar to like where social media was 10 years ago, or maybe 10 to 15 years ago, where at first it was kind of scary for a lot of people. They're like, I don't want to live on the internet. But the reality is, for most Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're spending more time online or just in front of a screen, whether it's a mobile device, a laptop, a dedicated PC. It's kind of scary, but it's almost as much online than it is IRL doing real stuff.
yeah.
So I think what's happening, and the Trump family, World Liberty Finance has been kind of highlighting this for the last 6 months now, 6 to 8 months now, at like a very high level, is the basically the merging of TradFi into DeFi, right? Like it's almost like DeFi is like, or maybe even it's the opposite way, right? Maybe DeFi is basically swallowing portions of TradFi slowly but surely. TradFi, if you don't know, it stands for traditional finance. DeFi, decentralized finance. So basically things built on blockchain with crypto rails. So you're seeing things like savings accounts, debit cards, credit cards. All of these things are starting to get built on top of crypto rails. And I think that's going to continue to happen. Real estate is just like the easiest example for RWAs in general, but it's already happening right now for the online Pokemon card marketplace.
Mhm.
All of those are tracked with like on chain, at least for products like Courtyard and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future a majority of house transactions are happening on chain. And if you think about it, I used to own a business. I used to car rental business at Mark Jones.
Oh my! I remember you had like a fleet,
25
right?
Teslas, 25 Teslas at one point. Yeah, EV car rentals. Had 25 Teslas at one point. And it was such a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie, when I had to go and get my titles from the state. There's like this whole process. I'd have to physically go in, fill out all this paperwork. It would take like 4 or 5 hours of my day. And at that point in time, I literally thought about this. I was like, wouldn't this all be easier on chain if the title for my cars literally just moved like literally just like from one wallet to another, right? Like, wouldn't that all be a little easier? And I think there's so many problems within real estate that the blockchain just inherently solves a lot easier, right? From titles to deeds to sort of like these macro funds in terms of earning yield, right? Because typically that would be held off for accredited investors, people that have 5+ years of making $100,000 in taxable income consistently, year by year, or have over $1 million in verified assets. Those are basically the two qualifications to become an accredited investor, at least in the US. This entire market has typically been completely reserved to either extremely large capital funds or accredited investors that have to work with these extremely large capital funds. So your everyday person misses out on a lot of that exposure. And I think there's an opportunity to do what Robinhood did with stocks, right? Stocks, most people, most day-to-day retail people were not trading stocks before Robinhood. Same way that, there's a huge influx of people that might put in 20, 50, 100, a couple hundred, maybe a couple $1,000s into earning real estate yield. They just don't know how. There's no pathway for them right now. Sorry, that's my little rant on this.
No, that was definitely. Oh, go ahead. If you have something, I was gonna more simplified take on why RWAs. And
an analogy though, the Robinhood of real estate, just to make this accessible for every single person. Because I feel like a lot of people don't know how to get into it, or like how they could own a house themselves.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah. And I'm gonna go a little bit into it as well, just more of a personal take on why RWAs for me. As I said, like at the beginning of the show, like my mom at 50 something just got her first home, and before that, it was very hard for her to afford it. And I would say let's go all the way back to 2021, 2022 with like what Woodley was saying, NFTs. I think this is like the third time I brought up NFTs on our live stream, but I'm a big NFT guy if you guys haven't noticed. But yeah, let's go back to NFTs. Back then, I wish, and unfortunately, yes, Scott couldn't make it today. If anybody showed up to hear from Scott, we had something personal come up, and Scott Fu, the crypto or the RWA lobbyist, couldn't show up today. So I just wanted to mention that. But something that me and Scott really got into years ago was that when NFTs like really took when they were really taking off, one of my first thoughts was like, I mean, like with all these kids living on the internet, it was cool and all, but I'm like, dang, like we're real people. And the one thing that I really enjoyed the most out of NFTs was when we gathered together IRL, like, when we were all together having fun, when we were buying the merch, like buying, getting the Bored Ape Yacht Club shoe drop that they did with Babe, like all that stuff was cool. I enjoyed that way more than I enjoyed the online community. But obviously, like, NFTs and digital assets make us money. But like, I feel like the IRL experiences were it for me. And I feel like that's it for a lot of people, because as a person, like in my opinion, IRL trumps like all, doing or having something physical, tangible in your hands that you can feel, that you can touch, that you could, sense. I think that was the best thing for me. And so and this is back in 2021, right? We didn't even know what RWAs wasn't even a term, I think, back then. At least me and Scott didn't know. But we were onto this thing called Web3 2.0, like the next step, taking it further than just the digital and bringing it into the real. And then there was this term called phygital, and I'm pretty sure you used that when we first came around with that, like you were using it a lot. I remember there was that phygital term. And then I think what we were getting at, we were just a bit ahead of ourselves. I think we were getting at was RWAs. And now that it's like, it's here, and you gave a really good, your explanation was really good. Now that it's really here, and RWAs is solving some of the issues that we were having back then. One of the issues and one of the topics today is like housing, right? My mom couldn't afford a house until late in her 50s, and let's just like say how it is. A lot of Gen Z, a lot of millennials can't afford a home, and a lot of us stay in apartments, or we don't own a home. And with RWAs opening up the market and tokenizing some of these things, it will allow us maybe to own and invest and gain some residual over time. And I think that is like, for me, it hits home because like I'm just like thinking like, dang, what if my mom could have been an investor and just a small apartment or a small property, and made some money over time. It may made the process of her purchasing her own home that she lives in a bit easier, and I think RWA is definitely can solve that issue. And I mean, Woodley, I don't want to get in. I mean, I guess we can get into it. And Woodley, you're here, and you're in the trenches. You're in the trenches in the real estate market, and I would love to just kind of hear your thoughts on, like, are we in a crisis? Is it as bad as these articles and things that we see these past 2 years in 2024, 2025? Is it as bad as what it seems like? Is Gen Z, are millennials like suffering? Can they not afford? Like, is this a thing?
Um, you're definitely cooked. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But things things have changed over time. So like I know a lot of us we did the time scale from 2020 upward. Like we seen a big drop in interest rates. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, we saw a big we saw almost like an all-time low in interest rates as those 2-3% just a few years ago, and that opened up the market to a lot of people were able to afford the house. We got lower monthly payments, lower interest rates. People were able to, once the interest rate slides, it pushes out a whole spectrum of people. That monthly payment, when a mortgage person sits down and calculates it, when somebody's going to purchase a home, that difference of whether it's 50, 100, $200, that literally pushes people out of the market of being able to purchase a home. um but what I'm seeing now, even though interest rates are currently around 6-7%, depending on if it's FHA or conventional. What I'm seeing a lot now is depending on if it's new construction, if somebody's going the new construction route, builders like DR Horton, they're offering great incentives instead of going with the rate that is going the FHA or conventional. The builders are offering their own rates if you're going through financing with them, where you can get rates as low as 5%, 4%, which makes it a more affordable option. Creative options by providing, like they have a special right now, $20,000 towards closing costs. That $20,000 that they would have to have on hand in order to make that deal go through, the builders footing that cost, helping it become even more affordable, being able to buy down interest rates. Again, lesser of a monthly payment. That monthly payment is all predicated on, a lot of people are not business owners. A lot of people are just working a job. Cash flow is very important. And when you move the needle, like for a couple $100, it changes the game completely. So what I'm seeing right now is there's a lot of concessions being made, whether it's from builders to people that are selling their homes. They're seeing their properties sit on the market. If it's not priced where it's almost an irresistible deal, people are not just jumping out the gate to buy a house right now. The people that are very stable, ready to go. They're pulling the trigger, no matter if interest rates are high or low. You're gonna have those individuals. They're gonna be in the market no matter what. But for those first time home buyers, those individuals are just getting into the market, may not have that much cash on hand. Um, those creative options where sellers, whether it's pre-existing builds, paying for their asking for their closing costs to being paid. If you're adjusting the price of a home, if you're asking them to come down, that also helps because it's factored into the calculation of that mortgage. Of
Hmm.
course, if it's a cheaper home, the calculation is going to be a better calculation when it comes to that monthly payment. And one of the biggest factors for a lot of people is how much money they're bringing to the table out the gate. If you look at statistics, a lot of people don't even have a money for just like a $500, $1,000 emergency, let alone dropping 10,000, twenty
It's
thousand, 30,000
and it's crazy. It's
on a
crazy.
home, you know? And
Yeah, it's
if you're going
crazy.
conventional, 20%, depending on that house, like I'm actually gonna purchase a new home. It's like in that four
Congrats.
hundred $450,000 range. You know, not everybody can come to the table and drop 60,000, 80,000. You know, it's just not doable for everybody.
Mm.
And I'm blessed that I'm in the position to do something like that. But like if you're just working a regular job, it might take somebody 4 or 5 years. People have to strategically plan this out for years in order to have the money to get a home. And then who knows, are the interest rates alignable? Where their monthly payments are going to be feasible for them to afford on a monthly basis?
Mm.
Um, is there going to be a shift in the economy? Like, am I going to still have that job? Like, there's a lot of different factors
That one.
at play. So
Guys, can I jump in here really
Yeah,
quickly?
no,
yeah,
no, Bradley.
Yeah, please.
Bradley, I ain't even gonna lie. I knew you were biting your lip on this one. So
No, no,
go
no.
ahead.
This
Go
stuff
ahead.
is all really interesting. I got so much to say honestly, and I can say
Oh
that the same
shoot, here
thing
we
is
go.
true for.
Here we go.
Hey,
I,
wait,
I
before you
was
go. Hey, he got a lot to say. Y'all might want to pull out your notebooks or your notepads because you're gonna learn something.
No, I'll keep it quick. Like, there's a lot that we can say about the housing market in general. What's interesting is it's reflective of the American situation. You look into the UK, buy to let is completely dead in the UK. I've got a buy to let myself in the UK. I have it on interest only because it's just not profitable. Even with interest only, I'm still breaking even on things like upkeep costs. But the thing I wanted to mention is we've got this idea, okay? We know that people can't afford housing. There are too many of us trying to buy premium spots in the middle of the city, and obviously,
Yeah, overcome.
the solution is to build more, build cheaper, and it goes like this. So how do RWAs help? A lot of people in the audience are thinking, well, hang on a minute. It doesn't matter if that property is tokenized on chain or physically. I still can't bloody buy it because I don't have enough money, right? Well, this is the interesting thing because RWAs fix this in an interesting way. There's this theory that the only people that can buy houses are people that already have houses, right? Why is that? Is because of two things. You've got capital gains, which outpace inflation, which means you're earning money passively and building wealth without actually doing anything. And of course, you've got rental yield as well. If you have multiple buy-to-lets in good locations, you're earning passive income there too. So you're building this sort of passive wealth that then you can park into a new property. So this same idea carries over into RWAs. It just makes that situation more accessible. Let me give an example. If you buy an RWA today, you know that you're going to make rental yield on that. So long as you price it carefully and it's in the right spot, you could make a rental yield on that of maybe upwards of 8%. Now that naturally outplaces inflation, which means you're going to get a better rate on that
Sounds good to
RWA
me.
than you will get, say, by leaving your funds in an account or even in some high interest ISA. This is really important because you're essentially getting the benefit and exposure of crypto in that sort of liquid market, but without the risk because you know it's collateralized by a real world asset. And this is how RWAs give you money in the long term. It's through that passive income earning potential. So I'd like to start with that.
Okay, so question real quick. So how, yeah, okay. So how, like, if you're investing in RWAs, like, how is it equivalent to like renting or sorry, buying into an apartment? Like, how are you getting your dividends back? Is it going to be similar as the property value increases? And
Very
then
good
also
question. Yes,
for, and then also real quick
absolutely.
for real world assets too, is it you're right now, are we only doing it on the Lumia Tower specifically? Like that's the first project that is going to be, and it's only those projects, or can it be like any project? How could
Okay,
it be
well
more
let me answer these two questions before my short-term memory expires. So
yeah,
the first question is sort of how do you get your dividends on these properties? And it's in exactly the same way that you would on properties, but it's simplified. And also anyone can access it. You don't need to be an accredited investor, right? Like we spoke about before. You don't need to, have a good credit score, for instance, get on the housing ladder. You could have someone, and I mentioned this example a lot. You could have a rural farmer in Nigeria with access to a mobile phone that's completely unbanked, can then gain access to the yields you would get in prime Manhattan real estate. So anyone can access it. Anyone can get that yield back in stable coins, which is how Lumia works, right? If you buy, let's say, a real estate token, then you would get that passive yield in stable coins, sent straight to your wallet, and then you can withdraw that in any currency you like via P2P. But also you gain exposure via capital gains. These are liquid markets. You don't just buy the property token. You can sell it the next day if you want and make a profit if the markets go good, right? So it's exactly the same as having a bit of real estate. And we know that real estate always outpaces inflation, like I said before. So long as you have your money in real world assets, it's not just a good place to park your savings, but it's a way you can make supernormal yields that accumulate in the long term to give you access to capital when you buy a property. Now I'll go to the next question. You said about Lumia Towers. This is really interesting because there are many different real-world asset tokenization platforms, and you guys mentioned Robinhood, but they are actually developing that. That's what sort of Vlad Tenev said on stage at Token 24/9. He was sort of advertising his own product. I personally think that Robinhood has an outdated approach and it has a lot of shortcomings, as well as so many different competitors. You'll hear things like Plume or Mantra or Securitize, but what none of these platforms have is something real world. They have white papers, they have discussions in closed doors, they have Twitter followings. What Lumia has is a $220 million skyscraper under construction in Istanbul that's going to be the world's first tokenized real estate asset project. Now that's everywhere. That's supported by Binance. You can go online, you can find images of its construction. You've got drone footage. And that's all Lumia. That's what people don't realize. They look at token prices and they're looking at Lumia's token price and thinking, oh well, I want a project that's the token's going to show a natural upward trend. It has nothing to do with the value of a project. And I think that actually, if people really looked into what Lumia is building physically, they would genuinely go wow, as I did. The reason why I wanted to come on board as an advisor for Lumia is that very reason. Google Lumia Towers, you will find this huge skyscraper.
I actually have it pulled up right now.
Good. Let's show it. Can someone share that screen and show
Who's
what it's
sharing
going
it?
to be?
Yeah.
we're seeing it.
And this is an incredible thing because it proves to the world. We've been mulling over real world assets for 2 years now. All of these projects have been talking about it. Lumia is the only project with actually something to show for, and this is going to be because obviously you can't go out and buy a real world asset property token right now because of various legal complexities in the US that Lumia is figuring out in Congress. Right now, our founders are in the White House talking about this with the decision makers. But in Turkey, you've actually got an example that's going to be fully tokenized, and you're going to be able to buy one of these tokens and gain access. And it's not just property; it happens absolutely everywhere, and it's going to be fantastic. So that's my 2 cents on the matter.
Nah, freaking awesome.
No, that makes perfect sense. Oh god, sorry.
So wait, since right now there's only the towers in Turkey, what if like a ton of people went and tried to invest in it? Is there like a certain cap for that project? And does it go like by project? Like
Yeah,
it's like finish the Turkey one, and then like if you guys do a second one.
Yeah, so it's bigger than that. Lumia Towers is just kind of proof the concept, but eventually people are going to be able to tokenize their own homes. It doesn't need to be tokenized from the ground up. So Lumia is more about taking this as an example, saying, "Hey guys, this is what you can do with it."
Bradley, real quick, let me add. I believe Lumia Towers is just the first of I think about $1 billion worth of assets.
Yeah, that's it.
Real estate assets that we will be tokenizing. So Lumia Towers is just the first. It's a $200 million project, but we have $1 billion worth of assets. Probably one. I think it's 1.3 or 1.5. It's a. I don't remember the exact number, but I know that we're gonna do a lot more than just the Lumia Towers. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Mark, this is a $3 trillion industry even right now, and we've got huge projections, massive CAGRs of upwards of 30% for the industry. It's just the start. But what I'm trying to get at is that, yes, we're showing this example, we're tokenizing skyscrapers and everything in between, but what Lumia is going to be a unified platform to trade everything from those real world asset tokens like cryptocurrency through to things like tokenized ETFs or money market funds, all in one unified platform. Now, the question was, is there a limit to the number of tokens you can buy? No, it
Bradley,
follows. Go on.
quick question for you.
Let,
So
let him let him
so
Hang on.
read that one real
Can I
quick.
finish
Lily.
answering
yes,
the
yes.
question? Yeah, one moment. So, apologies. It will observe traditional cryptocurrency dynamics. So imagine you go on and you want to buy Bitcoin, right? It'll be the same. You can buy it as much as you want. You can buy the whole block if you have enough currency, and you can do it if you don't have access to a bank account. You can do it if you don't even have a credit score. You might be, $3 million in debt, but hey, you've got $20,000 in the bank account. No one,
Yeah.
no one's going to stop you from investing in real estate. You see what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't have to speak to credit bureau. Sorry. Okay. Next question. That was.
So could somebody say, in a sense, this is like this real estate property is it's becoming going out on the stock market for an IPO, and everybody can buy shares now. This is essentially what's happening in the crypto sense.
Well, not really. I think what you're getting at is sort of more like exchange traded funds, right? Where everyone sort of piles in. You have this fund, and then you have tokenized ETFs. Can you maybe repeat the question?
So people are going to be able to buy into properties, correct?
Yeah, without having to live with it. They don't even need to share their identity. They can do it literally. Someone can pick up a stranger's phone, create a MetaMask wallet, and within 3 minutes, you're gaining exposure to, I don't know, real estate developments in St. Petersburg, Russia. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So in a sense, yes, but it's a lot different.
No, but that's really nice because it's still technically liquid. Like you could invest in a property short term and then take your money out right away whenever you're actually investing in a property. Once you sign all the contracts, like that's your commitment.
100%. This is a really good point. And
This is really
this
nice.
is big for the industry because Lumia is where the liquidity is at. This is really, really key because without liquidity, people get their assets stuck. If no one wants those real world assets, what you'd have to do in the worst case scenario, you buy one of these property tokens from someone that says to be a real world asset tokenization platform, and then there's no liquidity, there's no buyers for your tokens. So then you have to go through the arduous process of reconverting it into a sort of standard asset. And then selling it in the traditional financial world, which cause a load of problems. So liquidity is really important. That's what Lumia promises, with this ecosystem of projects. So, it combines liquidity from various different dexes and sexes within DeFi. And it means that that's exactly true. You can buy your asset tomorrow, sell it the next day, or even, wait till it accumulates, give it a certain target, and then program in a smart contract to sell those real world asset tokenizations when they reach a certain threshold, and then, I don't know, buy your wife a Birkin.
No, what's cool about that is like, because I've owned a few different properties, and like one of the biggest things, like one of the most difficulties is like real estate can be really illiquid at times, right? Like it actually can. Damn, we lost Bradley.
Oh no, he's coming back. He's coming.
All right, coming back. All right, cool. But it can be, somewhat illiquid. It's not like, comparing to, again, sorry, but comparing to like a meme coin, right? You can buy it now and literally 3 days later sell it for a 2x. Not that, real estate inherently moves that volatile, but let's say, you could see a 10%, 20%, maybe even 50% gain in 12 to 18 months. And instead of having to have the full accredited investor status in order to even access that, this is now borderless, right? So it allows someone in Europe, it allows someone in Africa, it allows someone in the Middle East, Asia, wherever, to access any market they want. Is that basically? And I want to make sure I'm understanding this also from a regulatory standpoint. not to be the bearer of bad news, but like genuinely, like how is this going to work in a regulatory environment? I know Mark's been flying out to DC and meeting with some big people pretty regularly. I just want to know, like, how's this whole thing going to shape out? Is there enough regulatory clarity to have a borderless, permissionless real estate economy? And if so,
This
that's
is
freaking awesome.
Yeah, this is a brilliant question, really. There are two questions. I'm sorry, you cut out a bit. The first
You're
one was
good.
relating to the globality of real world assets, and I like to highlight this. In crypto, not sure if a lot of you understand how it works, but you can just create even your 5-year-old child can go online right now if he knows how, and create a MetaMask wallet, get private keys, send that address somewhere, and someone can send them cryptocurrency, right? You don't need to do anything for it. No KYC, no anything. So that's the first idea: is anyone can get exposure. And I cited these statistics last time. You have something like 530 million people in this world that don't have access to a bank account, but do have smartphones. So that's 530 million people waiting to be onboarded to real world assets. Now, the second question was about regulation. This is a really good point, because this is why we haven't had real world assets yet. If you think about it, it's a great idea. I mean, I came up with an idea when I was about 13 to tokenize numbers on Ethereum. This is totally true. I might have been I think I was 15. That's it. And I wanted to
Yeah, you told
tokenize
this story.
so that someone could take, say, a number and they could then make it theirs. It would be stored on digital ledger anyway, so this is a great idea. But the reason why you can't do these things is because of regulation. Because how do you get?
Oh,
No.
we lost you,
cooking.
Riley.
Oh,
He was cooking.
A little bit.
he's cooking. I genuinely want to know. I mean, it sounds like he's done obviously the research on the globality, international. I don't know if that's a word, but the global nature of this, as well as like regulatory clarity. Like, is that going to happen from like a state to state, country to country?
Yeah, I was when I did my research, just about like regulatory framework around this. Yeah, like state to state is different, right? Like, so we have to figure it out state to state. And then like I think it's Senate banking like has to recognize it, token ownership, transferring or like traditional legal structures like LLCs and trusts, like all this stuff, like we have to figure out. And so I would say like right now, with Lumia, like we've been to DC and we're having multiple meetings with just the regulators. And these are some of the things that we're talking about. It's not just for RWAs, but crypto in a whole. And I mean, while we're even on regulation, the whole thing, like I'm pretty sure everybody saw, what is it, CZ? Like CZ got pardoned, and that was like a really like big case right there, and everybody's like seeing in the crypto, or at least in the crypto space, and then outside of crypto, like I saw some like comments around this, like people saying, oh, crypto really is a scam because CZ got pardoned. But I mean, I just advise like look deeper into the story, and then because like regulation is still pretty gray, there's also that, like we don't fully know like what's wrong, what's right. I mean, we're getting there, but we're still figuring it out. And as I said earlier, one of the things that Lumia, what we're doing, is that like we're meeting with regulators and figuring this out as we go. I'm actually going to share some stuff about that as well, but
Yeah.
one second, I'm going to pull it up.
But yeah, I feel like this is really interesting because I feel like most people, when they think about investing in real estate, they know that, it's always going to be a positive thing, but typically it's like a slow train for you to really be able to make money off of it, like long term. But with crypto, whenever you invest in crypto, you could like lose everything tomorrow or get 100x tomorrow. You never know. So it's really cool that we're actually putting these two things together to make real world assets more available for everybody.
And so what I'm showing right here is just like one of our trips. This is actually me right here. You know, the first time we're in a seat.
There you go. There you go. Look at that handsome
And then
devil.
we actually have an advisor in Capitol Hill. His name is David McIntosh. Great person, and just got to give him his flowers, like, because he's the one that allowed us to just come to Capitol Hill, basically marched us around. We met with Cynthia Lummis's team, I think Warren Davidson, and many others, like many others that are like leading the front on as far as like what regulation in the U.S. is going to look like. We actually got to sit down and ask questions, and they asked us questions as well, specifically in RWAs. And when you brought up this topic, like I wanted to share this because like we were there and we're having the conversations and we're figuring it out together. And let's big shout out to the CTO Dennis as well. Like this man like carried those conversations because they did ask some very hard questions. And like I think the UK, I believe he used the UK as an example for what the US could do. And but yeah, like Dennis carried those conversations we had in Capitol Hill. And but yeah, this is just an article in Silicon Review that they did on us about our trip to DC and about us having these meetings. And we're actually, I think I could talk about this. I believe we're going to meet with what is it, the SEC, and talk to them as well.
No way.
Yes.
That's crazy. That's big. That's huge. How did you just casually drop that? That's actually pretty big then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying all this just to say is like, this is something that we are solving, and it's something that's being solved. As you can see, like the U.S. wants to be the leader or wants to be the crypto hub of the world, right? And so you saw that with Trump's decision to pardon CZ, to be more lenient on crypto and what we're doing. And as I said, Lumia is already a part of these conversations and figuring that side out. It's sad that Bradley fell off because he was definitely cooking on this, and I wanted to share more, but one of the things that
I have a quick comment that I kind of want to add here is like, because the title of this was like, here's how you can afford a house, right? And I think what it really means, like based off of the research, right? There's housing prices have gone up 60% in the last 6 years. There's an estimated 4 to 5 million shortage of homes, period, and that's primarily in the lower income brackets and rental brackets, right? There's literally 5 million homes that like need to be funded, right? And if you unlock basically international capital that can come in to fund these things, that should theoretically, right? If I'm following this correct, I mean, I'd have to like sort of map this out, but like more money coming in to build more properties should then therefore lower the overall cost while giving people the opportunity to invest in the upside of those construction builds. Does that make sense? Like regular everyday, rather than like Fannie Mae or Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan Chase or any of the or Barclays or any of these massive financial institutions and banks saying, hey, we're funding all these houses. That means they get most of the upside, and retail has to buy it at 2 to 3x the construction costs. But now if retail is a part of funding it as well, right? Shouldn't theoretically that obviously present the upside for retail while then lowering the downside as in affordability, because there's just more overall and decentralized capital flowing into this specific industry. I mean, I would love to hear like Woodley, because maybe I'm thinking about this incorrectly. I don't know, right? Like I don't know what I don't know, but like how does that work from, let's say there's the problem. Houses are too expensive. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. The reason, right? The reason for that problem, there's not enough homes. 4 to 5 million shortage of homes.
Yep.
How does bringing additional crypto money, right, or money that's on chain into solving this problem potentially solve this problem? Can it? Right? Like, does it present any upside for the retail or the person actually buying or renting?
So, I think yes and no, because it's gonna come down to let's say hypothetically speaking that they just a lo- more crypto transactions are being done. So I'm not a realtor that necessarily has done a transaction, but I'm friends with a realtor that has done $1 million crypto transaction in Bitcoin to
Wow.
purchase a home. So, um, and there are transactions going on like that. There are homes being bought with Bitcoin, with crypto. So let's say if hypothetically speaking it was widely adopted where more individuals could actually use crypto to purchase a home, I would just say it's it's more money that can be brought to the table because that's one of the biggest problems. They're not having as much cash on hand for down payments, not enough cash on hand to show different levels of income that they can possibly be having. So if crypto was more used by more different lenders, more builders, more accepted, then it would just give them another tool in their belt to actually show that they can actually afford the purchase of the home. Maybe
Well, hang on.
part of the crypto can be, say if they have $10,000 in Bitcoin, they're putting it aside for an investment, but
Oh
actually
no. No.
Oh, we lost you for a second
yeah,
there, Woodley.
maybe they can actually use that Bitcoin in order to put towards their down payment without having to cash it out. They can just send it, and that's their down payment. And the cash on hand, they can use it can actually be used to buy down the interest rate, lowering their monthly payments, or it could be used as uh part of their down payment, or it can be used as uh buying. It could be used in different ways. So I think
Can I jump
it
in
just
here, guys? Is it all right if
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
yes,
raise a
yes.
question? Yeah, because I felt like the question was about how do RWAs solve the idea that there aren't enough houses? But I think these are two different questions entirely. I think actually the housing crisis is due to city overcrowding. I personally think that actually it's quite
Overpopulation.
cheap to build. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's important that we analyze the reasons for why these prices going up, and I think it's more than that. It's more than demand and supply. It's more than saying there aren't enough houses, which is why prices going up. It's this whole lifestyle shift that everyone wants to live in better apartments. Everyone wants to live in the center of the cities, and it depends on regions, and also um, people don't really have enough money to buy the houses that are available, especially in England, right? A lot of people are using things like Help to Buy, and you have loads of these vacant properties. um, I think they're just different questions. RWAs, they help with simplifying the process, bringing the real estate world into the present, bringing it on chain, which is going to be a huge thing. And actually, I genuinely believe that people are slowly moving out of cities, and how that it is a bubble right now across the world, and it is going to break. Housing will go down in the long term. That's what I personally believe. But you guys are realtors, actually. What do you think? Because I'm of the opinion that right now we're living in a bubble. It's sort of due to pent up demand from things like COVID, high interest rates that are even as high as 16.4% in Russia right now. You've got a very record high base rate in the UK. What do you think? Why are house prices so expensive right now? Aside from the fact that there aren't, supply and demand, right? There aren't enough houses.
Hmm.
Well, it's just a simple thing of costs going up, inflation. So we have an inflation. Costs to build the homes are going up. The cost for wood, the cost for different materials for the builder. So the builder is passing that cost off to the end consumer, which is the prospective customer of purchasing that home.
Yeah, see,
Um,
this is a better argument. This is better because
Hmm.
it's not due to the fact that there aren't homes available. It's costly to build them. They're expensive, and people don't have the money to pay for that. And this is the answer. This is why real world assets help, because they enable. I mean, think about how many people are actually exposed to stocks, shares, yield accruing assets in the UK. I would hazard a guess there's about 66%. So 2/3 of people just have their savings in a UK-based savings account, accruing maybe 3% interest because they're too scared to put, their assets in something risky, especially when they spend so much time saving them. So imagine if you could onboard all of those people, say to all of those people, hey, there's this asset that you can put your money in. You can put your money into real estate now. I think a lot of them would. And a lot of them, therefore, would earn more money, would enable them to keep up with inflation rates. And you'd have this grand number of population being able to afford housing that previously they wouldn't have been able to. But then that has cost push inflation. So that's another thing.
So we have the cost of materials going up, and then you have also different factors at play at hand as well. The revolution of AI cutting out jobs, so that's also plays into the fact of affordability of a home, because there are less jobs, less people having less jobs leads into less, buyers in the market that can actually afford the home, and different factors of that nature.
Wow. There's like, so what I'm understanding here is like a multitude of problems.
Right.
Uh, according to like the like housing studies, right, that they've been publishing throughout this year, they try to cite basically home supply, right, as well as home price. If you break down home price, it can be due to basically the material cost of building the home, but I do know that like there is a pretty big margin there from the construction cost to the actual retail cost, right? Like there's at least a decent margin there. Let's say if a house costs 150 to 200,000 to build, it's not going to sell on the market for anything less than 300 to 350 for the most part, from what I know. So although the construction costs are up, there's still a pretty decent margin there for the mass builders. And typically that's funded from these like from very large financial institutions who will basically buy 1,000 acres. You see this in Florida all the time, right? You have like 3 investors that will buy like 5,000 acres, and they're gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna make like 500 homes here. It's gonna cost, the average cost of building those homes is gonna be, let's say, 150, and then they're not gonna go to the market anything less than 400. So then retail doesn't get a chance to invest into the construction of that home at 150. They're forced to buy at 400, and they have less jobs and purchasing power. Their dollars are literally worth less. So that's sort of the argument I was making like before.
That's
was like,
a great point.
well,
So
yeah.
I want to touch on something else I'm seeing in the real estate market. You're gonna have people that like pre-existing homes, like those
Oh, you're just going
sellers.
silent now.
Can you hear me?
Where's my
No.
Can
We
you
can hear you, Bradley.
He might not be able to hear us.
Oh yeah,
Can you
I
hear
was
me?
just checking. It was a bit of an awkward silence there.
Nah.
I just said very, very
Yeah.
good point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me? Can you all
Well, if
hear
no
me?
one's going to take the floor,
I can hear
maybe
you.
it's a good time for me
Oh, yeah.
to advocate for communism and building houses according to the collective. it's a lot of people are proposing that's a way out of the housing crisis. You've got the Communist Party in France. Let's not forget. But I think RWAs are definitely something that's going to maybe not solve this crisis, but it's going to be a secret tool that investors are going to be able to use to accrue wealth they wouldn't have been able to otherwise in a low-risk fashion. I think that's the beauty of RWAs. This is a new crypto asset that's coming in that's going to really give people the power of a sort of yield-accruing stable coin even. So it's sort of high yields without the risk, very similar to property. And it's available, to buy as a blockchain token. Something so
Bradley, you're kind of going in and out.
Yeah.
But
I'm heading into area.
Kind of lagging a little bit.
you're lagging. You're good. You're good, Bradley. I was gonna say we're coming up on about an hour. So I would love to leave a little bit of time for the chat to have a chance to chime in. I've been watching it this entire time. That's why I've been pinning some of these messages. But I would love to hear from the chat if there's any questions. We have Bradley on stage if he's good to talk. And then we have Woodley here and myself and Angel. Oh, Angel, there was a question for you. As far as actually, I had put it down because somebody had asked this, but let me see. Oh, and just as far as like from your understanding, because um, I know you have like a different audience, like for this, uh, like a majority of our audience is coming from Web3, and some of your audiences, it could be mothers, it could be other creators and like that. But just as far as like from your perspective, like how does this type of stuff resonate with your community? The idea of like purchasing or buying real estate on chain or tokenizing it. I would love to just kind of hear your thoughts on this because I know you've had some questions, but there was a question for you and just how this kind of resonates with your community.
Well, thank you for the question, guys. I feel like this is really good for my community. I feel like a big mix of everything because as I started being into crypto, I've met so many people in that space. So I just made my ex. That's where my mistake was. For the Motherland
Oh,
Rodeo.
shout out.
Yeah.
What's your handle? What's your
Yeah,
handle?
drop the handle in the chat. I'll pin it.
And then follow my Instagram too. My Instagram is just my first and last name. But I feel like this is really interesting because like with my community, it brings a lot of people like real estate investors, real estate developers, like people in that aspect, but also the crypto aspect. But what I feel like I want to help people get more comfortable with the thought of that crypto is accessible for everybody, and this is something that anyone could be a part of to do. Like for me, the background that I'm coming from is super, super different. But if you're willing to learn and to be a student, like anybody could learn anything. Like back in the day, Aristotle used to say, like, whenever there is like a place where someone could learn anything, like that would be super crazy. And nowadays, like we have the internet, and with the internet, we could literally learn any skill that we want if we really put our mind to it.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
But also, what was I gonna say too? I feel like this is a really great opportunity because it could help someone own part of their future instead of just paying rent forever too. Like nowadays, a lot of people like they get into the cycle of just renting and renting and renting, and all the money that they're spending on their own apartment is just basically getting wasted. So something like this is something that's interesting to me because I don't trade too much. All the money that I have in crypto, I put it basically in safe areas like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. I try not to put it anywhere where it's going to be too crazy. I do have a couple like meme coins like Pengu or Dogwa Hat and stuff like that too. But like for me, this would be something that's perfect because I would like to just park my money somewhere and not have to worry about it. Because like with all the other things that I have going on, I don't have time to like consistently be watching it. So I feel like that's going to be really nice.
Nah, awesome.
Oh,
And then,
sorry. No, I was gonna say one of my Clipper accounts, the Faded Media, just said he's gonna be posting some clips. So if you guys missed anything, follow that account. He's gonna be posting some clips. And yeah, 100% agree with everything that Angelique was sharing. Sorry.
yeah.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of liquidity that can and will eventually enter this market from retail, right? From retail, I think is the most important because we haven't seen, they don't really get the exposure of upside of new construction. So perhaps the housing cost problem might not ever get fixed, but as far as regular everyday people being able to benefit from a 5,000 acre plot that's developing 500 homes, hopefully that can be unlocked to regular everyday people, which then enables them to be able to do these things, you know. And I'm excited to see what that future looks like.
Awesome. And then as we're kind of wrapping up here, I don't see too many questions from the chat this time around. But as we're kind of wrapping up here, I would love to get some like closing thoughts. Like Willie, as a realtor, I'm pretty sure you learned some stuff you learn some new ways to get liquidity within what
Definitely.
you're doing. And I would just love to kind of hear like just a closing thought on your personal take on this, and then Bradley, I'll have you close it out.
I think it's awesome. It's really cool what's going on. Like the technology is just amazing on what is possible out there when it comes to the possibilities of getting involved in real estate, where it comes as opposed to just regular modern day currency. I like the energy, and I like how everybody's thinking on how they can get this more widely adopted. Being somebody that's doing like transactions throughout the year, I can see how it can be beneficial, and I think we all have to work together. I think that's really big. Like Bradley said earlier, or I think it was you faded wealth. How you just casually dropped that you're going to meet with the SEC. That's not a small feat at all. I think we all as a whole need to work together on to see how we can solve
That was,
this
that
problem.
was Lumia, by the way, there, buddy.
Oh yeah.
About meeting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
No,
Right,
good.
So
guys. So should I close up then? Some closing
Yeah,
thoughts.
yeah.
yeah.
Like, just some closing remarks on just Lumia and your
Yeah,
thoughts.
fine. So look, I think let's do a basic conclusion, right, about everything we've discussed today, which is the fact that there's this housing crisis. Everything keeps on getting more expensive, and the people in the younger generations are finding it more difficult to afford property. There are real world asset tokenizations. Sorry, hang on. I'm trying to concentrate. I'm going about 156 kilometers an hour. um,
Slow down.
yeah. Actually, will slow down. Give me a second. Um, and the idea is you have these real world asset tokenizations, the form of property tokens, right? And that's going to fix it through simplicity, through ease, and sorry guys, this is not a very good conclusion, is it? I'm getting too distracted
Nah,
with the
all
road.
good.
The idea is, right, the real world asset tokenization helps you gain access to these markets, gain access to supernormal yields, gain access to capital gains, right, on chain in a safe, secure, stablecoin alternative. And I think that's the future we're aiming with Lumia. And I certainly expect some price movement on Lumia's side as well. So I advise everyone to stay tuned. We do these shows weekly. I'm
Every
going to
two.
be here as well weekly to answer some of the more difficult questions. If you're interested in what I have to say, or you got some questions for me directly, you can message me on Telegram. My door's always open. Brad's J Peak, Peak. And yeah, good conversation as always, guys. Next week I will be in the office. You'll see my wonderful face, and it will be a much more invigorating conversation, much more live coverage and statistics. So thank you, and lovely to meet all of you as well, Angelina especially. Angelica.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nah, and yeah, I just want to give a big shout out and thanks to both of you guys, Angel and Woodley. Thank you guys for showing up. And Faded, you already know how it go, bro. Like, I love you. That was an awesome show, and I hope I hope everybody that was watching had an opportunity to kind of learn something from here. And one of the things that is the biggest takeaway for me, especially what we're doing at Lumia, is making this easier for somebody like my mom, who, as I said at the beginning, could I mean, she just could afford her first house uh, at the age of 55. And, like, I feel like this is something that we should be able to do in our 30s, maybe even 20s, and somewhat. And with what we're doing here at Lumia, we're making that easier and making a way for somebody, like the everyday mother, the single mom, a dad of a family of five, working an everyday job. We're giving them opportunities to be able to invest in things like this, and I think that's what this is all about. And I believe that's why this is awesome. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. And
Yeah. Real quick, Mark. So,
Okay.
like, if somebody was watching this and they're interested to learn more about Lumia or the projects that you have, like, do you have a recommended next step for them to stay in the loop with everything?
Oh yes, definitely follow the Twitter, Build on Lumia, or X now, Build on Lumia. We will be coming out with some stuff on YouTube as well. We'll have a YouTube channel, and we'll probably share that on the X account. But definitely follow the X. That's where all news and all things Lumia is happening. But we'll be more active on other platforms as well.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming today. We hope to see you on the next show and have a really cool topic and conversation then. All right.
Sounds good.
Peace out. Ciao.
See you later.
Thank you.